Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Regular meeting for the Board of Commissioners for the Port of Allyn. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bear with me while I get to the agenda. Start today's meeting with a public hearing on our water system policies and procedure and policy manual. Copies of it in the back.
No, we have one on the table right here if anybody wants to review it.
Copy here for anybody who wants to peruse it and give any
We can
comment.
email it.
You can also email it. We do have a resolution to pass regarding it, unless there are specific objections to the water plan. Larry, is this the...
It's just the policies and procedures by which we will operate the water system for the plan that we have to submit to the state. It just requires a policies and procedures manual, and that's basically it.
There hasn't been any changes with that recently, has there?
No.
Okay,
No,
good. And
it's
that's one I've seen.
It's the one that I worked on for 6 weeks.
Right, okay. Alrighty. Does anybody want to take a look at it?
Any public comment on the water systems policy manual?
Give the resolution. Oh, you can't do that
No,
anymore.
have to
I
wait.
will close the public hearing. Number 3 on our agenda are consent items. We have minutes of regular meeting October 2nd, 2017, and financial reports.
I move that we accept items A and B, which is the minutes of October 2nd, and the financial reports
A
of
motion
B.
on the floor to accept the items A and B in the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Action item number 4.
I move that we accept general fund vouchers, $9,053.09. Item B, payroll vouchers for $15,008.41. Water fund vouchers, $227.90. I move
Motion
we
on the
accept
floor
those.
To accept.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Executive Director's Report.
All right, water system issues. We are just about ready to submit this. We've provided Northwest Water Systems with everything they've asked for, including the customer service policies and procedures manual, which we just talked about, that you'll vote on tonight. 3 years of budget information, a narrative about our reserves, and the RCW statement about why the port should own a water system, which was written by our attorney. From this point on, it's up to them unless they come back to us for something else they haven't yet asked for. But I am truly looking forward to getting this off my plate. We haven't heard anything about our water system franchise agreement with Mason County that's up for renewal this year. So I reached out to the county again last week and got a call back this morning from Loretta Swanson at Public Works. Seems the Public Works Director, Melissa McFadden, has left the county, so things are in a bit of turmoil there for the moment. But she did say that since there are so many water system franchise agreements, they're trying to package up all the smaller ones into groups that county commissioners can approve all at once rather than have an agenda item for each one at the commission meetings. I told her we weren't in any hurry if they aren't, just keep us in the loop as to what's happening and when. We've already obtained an updated evidence of coverage insurance form from Honduras, and the county's supposed to send us their required form, so we're good to go at the moment. Criminalization of marina rules. I'm still working with Andrea Bradford, an attorney at Foster Pepper, to finish up the final draft of everything for the Mason County Commissioners. I'd hoped she would have it to them last month, but she then asked me for some other documentation, and I wasn't able to get to her until last week due to being out of town for the bias training and for the small ports meeting. In a conversation I had with her, she said she will schedule a meeting to get this on the commissioner's agenda shortly. 2018 budget, we've completed all the paperwork for the county and have it submitted on time. The 2018 budget, as approved, is also posted on our website. We'll have the final revenue numbers for items like timber excise tax and timber tax sometime in December. We also have a refund from the assessor's office of $490.69. Plus our assessed value is actually slightly higher than we figured by a couple of $100 because the new construction valuation was higher than we originally budgeted. Once we get the timber revenue numbers, I will plug them into the budget and ask you to approve an amended budget in January. Potential property purchase. We had considered submitting a bid for the 14.87 acres that was being auctioned off on Old Belfair Highway as part of the Ace Paving bankruptcy.
Highway 3.
Pardon?
Is it Highway 3 or Old Belfair Highway?
No, Highway
What did I
3.
say?
Old Belfair Highway.
It is Highway 3. I have Old Belfair Highway in here, my mistake. The property, which is located directly adjacent to the Napa store and McDonald's Kitsap Bank Complex, is inside the UGA, has approximately 775 feet of frontage on Highway 3. It is zoned for a variety of uses, and the estimated market value is $551,000, with the 2016-17 taxes at $5,160. I had also connected with Kitsap Bank's municipal lending officer about financing and now have the information about what the bank needs in the way of financial information if we want to pursue other properties in the future. My goal is to get us pre-qualified in case we later decide to pull the trigger on something. That said, on the advice of our attorney, Steve DiGiulio, we decided not to move forward on this particular property, as desirable as it is. The main issue is the amount of my approved spending authority. And the certificate of authority you all passed on June 8th that specifies how much I can spend without prior approval, and this bid would have exceeded that number. In other words, I simply don't have the authority to submit a bid because it would have obligated the port in the event we won the auction for an amount that exceeds my spending authority. To be able to submit a bid and comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, we would have had to call a special meeting to waive my spending authority on a one-time basis and approve my submitting the bid. However, while we may have been able to finesse the Open Public Meeting Act requirement, our actions could have been called into question. I believe we all agree that transparency and public trust are the paramount issues here. Bottom line is that given those considerations, by the time we learned of the bid opportunity and received the bid specifications, there simply wasn't time to give the required public notice, have the meeting, and prepare and submit the bid package on time. BIOS software upgrade. The January 1st conversion to BIOS is moving forward. Leanne, Commissioner Scott, and myself went to Spokane on October 10th, 11th, and 12th to learn the payroll and financials, utility billing, grant management, and job costing modules. There was no cost for the training, and the only cost to the port was hotel, meals, and mileage. We did get the chart of accounts today from BIOS, and the way this thing is going to work, it's going to save money. You see the big smile on Leanne's face?
Great.
It is going to save monumental amounts of time.
Good.
I really am glad that we're making this move. So, comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements. A discussion of this is on your agenda to set a date for a workshop meeting. And talking with RCO, they want us to have some documented major public process and outreach, like public hearings and open houses to gather citizen input, especially about projects we'll be looking to them for grants for before submitting it. Trail project, I hadn't heard any more from Pat McCullough of Engineering Services Associates about this until Commissioner Scott called me this morning and said he'd like to be on our agenda. I have him scheduled under public comment. Inventory of assets, we're just about finished with putting together the complete inventory list of all the property and equipment the port owns. We just need to do the stuff that's upstairs and in this room. Hoping to have this completed by the end of November. Skateboard park. Between all the recent travel and putting together the budget, I haven't really had a lot of time to work on this, but it is on my radar to move forward on. This morning I had an email from our board contact there saying they understand that if we do build this, that they will take ownership of it and all the liability and maintenance responsibilities will fall to them. They're okay with that. Renting out the small office, we're continuing to promote this on Facebook, and I've made the Chamber and EDC aware of it, asked them to promote it as well. The EDC is also putting it in their Zoom prospector database. We've had a few inquiries, but no bookings yet. I posted it again today and actually had a comment from somebody asking about it. Power and water at the Allyn Marina. I'm still working on the capital budget request paperwork for this project, and I'll have it completed shortly. However, the request won't go in the 2017 capital budget, which is already set, but on hold for a legislative resolution to the Hearst situation. It'll go into the 2018 version, and if nothing else, we can still use all the information we've compiled to apply for a Tier 1 grant in the 2018 RCO grant cycle. Broadband issue. I attended the recent WPPA Broadband Summit at the Port of Seattle, and one of the discussion topics was ports as a last mile retail provider. PUD number 3's intention is to significantly expand its broadband footprint, and since you all had indicated a willingness to explore this a year or so ago, I think we should at least look into the feasibility of this from our perspective. I had a meeting on the 24th of October, with Joel Meyer, Justin Holtzgrove, who's the person in charge of that initiative, and Dale Knudsen, who's the Director of Engineering. It seems they're interested in building out their fiberhood program in the more rural, underserved areas, and would be interested in us becoming the last mile provider for some of those, but it appears the target rich areas are already served by other providers. There's also the question of dealing with service call issues as well as infrastructure and installation issues. We discussed sharing the cost of a grant writer for finding money for some of this, but the PUD made it clear they aren't interested in being the grant writer. To be honest, I'm not sure there's a suitable ROI in this for the port at this point. Sweetwater Park. I had a conversation with North Mason School District Superintendent Dana Rosenbach on Thursday that was prompted by Ken Van Buskirk's email to Commissioner Cooper, her, and several others about the article in West Town Home and Garden magazine. She told me she spoke with the person handling this issue at Department of Ecology, and he told her since EPA had signed off on the cleanup, they had no heartburn about it. I asked her to get a letter from him stating that and send it to me. Wayfinding signs. Commissioner Cooper asked me to coordinate this with Dr. Brian Peterson, who's handling this community project. Spoke with him and told him our name needed to be prominent on sign. He said he understood, put the sign maker in touch with me when he got to his office and got his number. I prompted Dr. Peterson a couple of times for information since then, but have yet to hear back from either him or the sign maker. Public record software. I met with a potential vendor that might be able to help. We may have a potential solution that fits our budget. I'll know more in a week or so as he needs to check on some programming costs and will be back in touch. What's nice about this local company.
Cool. Great.
Coder Dojo classes, reach out to a number of people. The response has been pretty positive. The only holdup now is our IT guy, Charles Keating, seriously injured in an accident recently. And while he's recovering nicely, he may not be able to help get this off the ground until he's had some more recovery time. But he has cranked up the program in Kitsap County again. So I'm looking forward to him being ready to go on this. And in the North Mason High School yearbook, I was approached by Kat Ross about the port buying an ad in the 2017-18 North Mason High School yearbook. I told her I didn't believe we could do that as it could be considered a gift of public funds. She suggested I ask all of you if you are interested in chipping in personally to do one, so I said I would bring it up tonight. Quarter page ad is $25, a half page ad is $45, and a full page is $50. If you all are willing to contribute to this, I will as well. Injury in the park. Received a phone call a couple of weeks ago from Robert Zupino saying he had tripped on the sidewalk at the waterfront park and injured himself. Followed it up with a letter, which I have enclosed in your meeting documents, requesting reimbursement of his medical expenses. I forwarded that on to Endurus and sent him a letter telling him that. Dura sent me some claim forms this morning for him to fill out, which I have forwarded on to him as well. Different launch rates. I attended the recent Kitsap All Ports meeting, and one thing I learned that several of them are doing is charging an increased launch rate for people who don't live in the port district. Contacted our vendor for the pay station and asked them if it would be possible to program the machine so people had to put in their zip code. If it was one of the two in our district, it would be one rate. If it was from outside of the district, it would be a higher rate. Our contact there said he would check with the manufacturer, see if this was possible, and get back with me. I'm still waiting to hear back. WPPA meeting dates. Annual meeting is November 15th to 17th in Seattle. This will also include the new Commissioner Orientation, Open Public Meetings Act, and Public Records Act training for our newly elected commissioner. That's my report.
The 14th through the 17th.
14th through the
Yeah,
17th.
WPPA meeting.
Can we send those dates out to both candidates so they can start planning?
Well, I figured we would know tomorrow.
Yeah.
True.
It
Rather
can
than-
take a lot of, remember they
Yeah.
didn't certify the election.
When are they seated?
Hmm?
When are the new commissioner seated?
Generally January, unless he steps down.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to security report. Travis?
It's not even that, so we can leave.
Looks like you had a busy month.
Sort of. I mean, yeah, there was action, I guess. One of our problem persons, Steven Strossen, decided to barricade himself in the bathroom. I had caught him here at the park a few days earlier, and he left willingly those days. But this day it was really cold out, really rainy, and he just didn't want to come out.
It was his shelter.
I gave him a little bit of time. You know, you got to work with him a little bit, but it was pretty obvious that he didn't want to be outside anymore. He wanted to go back to jail. So when we finally got him out of the bathroom, he was still wearing his jail sandals. In fact, his backpack still had the bag that the jail gives you all his stuff in. So I mean, he really hadn't anywhere to go. So. We were able to not really coax him out of there. I was able to get him to, we caught him finally not holding the lock shut, and was able to turn the key and unlock it with the deputies there, and we pulled him out, and they hauled him to jail. Or they hauled him to Shelton, and most likely just kicked him loose because he'd just gotten out. Anyway, also, we've had some more activity on the North Shore. A homeless couple that continues to kind of appear and disappear at times. They had to tell them they couldn't be back there anymore. It was getting pretty late when they were there. You know, generally, it's okay during the day if they're there, but not when it's obvious they're sleeping in their cars. So, haven't seen them since I talked to them. Other than that, just everything's been slowing down. Weather, there's just a lot less park goers.
When do we lock that or put the chain up on that back parking lot?
That was the first of the month.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're sleeping on the boat launch side?
Well, what they were doing is they were over up by the pay pier.
Oh, okay.
So across the street
Gotcha.
parking, and they would park in the back corner there. And during the summer, they had been like skating in there after dark and stuff like that, and I was like, no more of this. And then you didn't see them for a while. And I think if I catch them again, they'll be trespassed, but we'll move on from that.
Great.
That's about it.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Travis.
Travis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anything under old business?
Skip commissioner reports.
Well, what do I do there? Move the agenda item down to number 9?
Sure. Do we need to vote on that?
I don't think so. It's well within my right to move agenda items around.
Okay, that's good.
Go right ahead. Commissioner report.
Oh, you want me to do that now? Sure. We'll go for that.
I didn't know if you,
Oh, I did not catch that. Thanks. I don't have my glasses, so I can barely focus in on this.
Well, I have some. You want to borrow them? They might, no, they
Too
might set you,
strong.
yeah, they might
Make
set
me
you
dizzy.
back. Sorry. October 2nd, of course, I did the port meeting. October 5th, I went to a Department of Natural Resource focus group meeting. And they're working on a Green Mountain Trail access plan for Green Mountain, which, you know, affects us as well with the Tahuya Forest. So that's why I brought it, but there's a big committee that's working on that. What they're gonna do is make bigger accesses, more accesses up at Green Mountain. Right now there's Gold Creek and Wildcat. And so, I just wanted to pass that on. And also the Tahuya River Horse Camp is not quite in our district, but just a little bit over. And they're thinking about making that non-motorized, which I think would be great. And a lot of ORV people even want that too. It's just less activity, people running around in it. October 7th, went to the Oyster Fest, and I worked with Hoodsport Winery to feature the Sargent Oyster House wine, and North Bay Historical Society got the proceeds. Made a few $100, so that was good, you know, for the Sargent Oyster House. October 10th through the 12th, I also attended the Bias Financial Software Training. Man, that was really helpful to me. Not that I'm going to be digging in it all the time, but it's a great program, a great company. I was really impressed with it. October 19th, Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization. I think I have the agenda in there somewhere, but one of the things I did want to mention, a lot of it doesn't directly affect us, but there is Kitsap County is the lead agency for what we call the Travel Demand Model Program. And it's a software program that takes all of the data from all of the information that on the use and all the demographics on the travel. That means some of its jobs, high use of the roads, what the purpose of the roads is. And this information, you know, is paid through the grant from the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization. So this plan, when it's done, will be able to be utilized by any agency, governmental agency. So it'll be in place so they don't, because right now it's kind of difficult to get all that information together. Also want to remind everybody there's a study that's going on from WashDOT and that they're doing in regard to the traffic congestion on Highway 16 from Gorst to the bridge. If you want to get online, take a look, or put anything input, go ahead. October 23rd, I attended the North Mason Community Voice. Great history and information on the floral and the Christmas tree industry by Don Cady, Herm Nelson, and Jay Allyn. They spoke. Don Cady, as you know, his dad was a realtor here in Belfair in the 50s. So they'd been around a long time. Don owns a lot of property. Herm Nelson mostly talked about the floral industry, you know, Salal, Huck, and all that stuff. So it was really great. Well attended. October 25th through the 27th, Small Ports Conference, and I got a public records handout update, if anybody's interested. And then, again, went to the Department of Natural Resource, DNR focus group again on November 2nd, and it's pretty much the same thing. It sounds like they are definitely going to pass the fact that horse camp will be non-motorized, and that's about it. Any questions? Nope.
Me?
That's a long report.
Sorry.
And I have nothing.
Oh,
Good.
well, maybe you didn't want to hear it all. I don't know.
No, that's good. I came to the regular port meeting, went to the Small Ports Conference. It was a good conference as always. Learned about some changes in the executive session, public records, in relation to real estate and pricing. Went to some funding classes, went to some small ports related material that other small ports things they're working on, and it was very informative, and thanks for letting me go again.
Yeah, thank you for letting us go.
Yeah.
That was great. Very helpful.
That'll end the commissioner reports and 2 old business. Nothing under old business. Move on to new business. We have an adoption of a 2018 levy certification, resolution number 388. If somebody could read that.
You want me to read it?
If you could,
Doesn't
do we have
matter.
a copy here? Here's our copy. Just read it off of that.
Oh,
See
cool.
the
That's a lot
glasses.
easier. Okay, Resolution 388, be it resolved by the Commissioners of the Port of Allyn as follows. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Port of Allyn have met and considered the 2018 levy certification for the 2018 calendar year in accordance with RCW 84.52.020. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners, after public hearing and duly considering all relevant evidence and testimony presented, hereby resolves to adopt the levy certification for the 2018 calendar year as proposed and presented.
Take a motion for resolution number 388.
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 388.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. New business item B, adoption of water system policy and procedures, resolution number 389.
Of course, all the stuff that I read previously. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners, after a public hearing and duly considered all relevant evidence and testimony presented, hereby resolves to adopt the policies and procedures as presented in the Water System Policy Manual as proposed and presented.
Take a motion for resolution 389.
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 389.
All second?
Have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, resolution number 389 is a few pages long and
390.
390. And
We just done 389.
We did
if anybody
389.
requires it to be read, I'm sure that Judy would be happy to read it. It is front and back, very small print, and
What?
this is just a continuation of the MSRC small rosters, and they require a resolution annually?
Yes.
Annually.
Do I need to read the whole thing?
Anybody want to hear it?
The first paragraph. you
No,
explain
it's,
what it is.
we've
How about
read
I'll
it.
read the whereas
There you
RCWs, I'll do that. And actually, kind of in a nutshell, it's a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Port of Allyn on the subjects of establishing a small public works roster process to award public works contracts, a consulting services roster for architectural, engineering, and other professional services, and a vendor roster for goods and services not related to public works contracts. I will read the RCWs. Whereas RCW 39.04155 and all other laws regarding contracting for public works by municipalities allow certain contracts to be awarded by a small works roster process. And whereas Chapter 39.80 RCW and other laws regarding contracting for consulting services by municipalities, all certain contracts to be awarded by a consultant roster process, and whereas RCW 39.04.190 regarding purchase of materials, supplies, or equipment not connected to a public works project, allows certain purchasing contracts to be awarded by a vendor roster process. And we hereby resolve as follows, and it's Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and I'll read the titles just for clarification. Section 1 is any previous resolution that was previous is now repealed upon the acceptance of this. Our MRSC rosters is Section 2, and that stands for Municipal Research and Services Center of Washington. They're a big database, online database for a whole bunch of contracts, consulting services, and vendors. And then Section 3, small public works roster. Boy, that is long, isn't it?
That encapsulated it pretty well.
I think so. And then there's Section 4, consulting services roster. Section 5 is a vendor list roster.
Entertain a
Section 6
motion.
is posting.
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 390.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we do this every year.
It saves us from having to run our own legal ads every year, so it saves the court some money.
Yeah.
And this is their
And gives us a
resolution,
broader
right?
bucket to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
That's for you. It's just
Oh,
a
okay.
different, something we did last month, I think.
And the resolution is the same resolution we passed last year
Yeah,
with a different number. And you read the whole thing last year.
I did.
I missed that part.
Maybe I should have.
Next item under new business is set a date for special meeting to discuss our updates of the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements.
By the way, does anybody want to look at all this paperwork? If not, okay.
So we want to do that sometime this month. Update.
Now, next week, of course, there is the annual meeting
Right.
and the new commissioner workshop.
I won't be going to the annual meeting.
To any of it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to know for hotel reservation.
So we're into the,
Week of the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th, that's Thanksgiving. Well, I have the 6th, wait, if I don't, I'm not sure. Friday, I
Monday the
have,
13th is the conference.
no, it's the 14th, I think. When is the conference? Is that the 14th?
Through the 7th.
Oh, I
Is
can't
it
do
really,
the
really
13th.
early? On the 14th?
I can look it up.
And actually, the 14th is just the new commissioner
And a continuing education.
and continuing education. And even if I went to get some information on the, to help the new commissioner, I don't have to stay for the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'm fine going the next week.
It's on the agenda.
What about the 13th,
I can't-
Monday? You can't, you said?
I
Okay.
know. I thought till I looked at my calendar.
I have, on the 17th, I have a Peninsula Regional Transportation thing in the morning. I could do it afternoon. Nope,
Fridays
that's
are
Friday.
no good.
Okay.
Starts 11 a.m. on the 14th.
So the 20th?
Yeah, 20th I probably could. How about you, Del? For,
Monday the 20th?
It wouldn't do me much good to go.
well, I meant on
Oh,
the,
for our
for
update
Update.
meeting.
Update,
yeah,
which date?
20th on
20th?
Monday. Mm-hmm,
That's Monday.
mm-hmm.
Fine.
21st, not good.
Let's do it Monday, the 20th. I think I'd be more comfortable
22nd.
with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, because there's Thanksgiving and I cook and I prepare and it's a lot
Let's
of
do
work.
it at your house.
Commissioner, can I ask a question?
Can you wait till public comment time?
Sure.
Thank you.
So 20th?
20th.
Are we good with that?
6 o'clock?
Sure. Are you okay with that?
I already wrote it down.
Okay.
Okay,
And there's nothing else scheduled for down here, so the room's open.
Good.
okay.
Now, I was asked if we could put Terry Jeffries on the agenda to discuss Mason Transit Board of Directors. And did she not able to make it tonight?
I haven't heard from her,
Okay.
so I don't know.
So we'll move on from that. And discussion of the ad in the North Mason High School yearbook. It's kind of late, and I don't know that personally I'd like to spend my personal funds on a port ad, so I'm out.
Okay.
Not doing it, right?
Yeah, I'm-
Yeah. Okay.
Same.
Thanks.
Okay.
Invitation, good job. Okay, we are to public comment time.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Please do.
You know, I had spoken with Pat McCullough, and he was going to come tonight, about the trail project. And just so that you know, he's already put in thousands of dollars of time and everything for this project, but I've told him we need to know what the cost and the time cost will be. So, he is willing to come and talk to us,
Okay.
but I think he forgot.
All right, off to public comment.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ken Van Buskirk from Belfair. I was hoping to listen to whatever Mr. McCullough had to say about the trail, because I wanted to comment on that, so I guess I'll wait on that. But regarding the special meeting you just set for the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements, I take it that's not going to be a public hearing yet. In the executive director's report, he talked about the need to have public hearings and open houses about citizen input. So this, I take it's just a special meeting, and you'll likely set up some public hearings at some point so that everybody can weigh in on those things.
Yes.
And if that trail project is potentially going to be one of those, then that's something that people need to be aware of. So I hope you can do some outreach to the Port of Allyn electorate and let them know that you're having these potential public hearings on this stuff, because it is important. I know the last thing I wanted to talk about is that Sweetwater Park. That was on the comprehensive scheme last year, and I don't know if it still plans to be. And I wanted you to have this article that another Port of Allyn resident brought this book to me. It's the West Sound Home and Garden, and I'll leave it with you. But the very last article in the edition is the Belfair Community Trail System, and it opens up and says a trail system currently runs through the Theller wetlands on a 5-mile loop connecting the wetlands to the Belfair State Park. That's not true. There's not a trail to Belfair State Park. There's some other inaccurate things in here, and it also says that the Port of Allyn is going to do the Sweetwater Creek Water Wheel project in partnership with the Salmon Center. So this is out there. Public's already reading it. I'm going to leave it with you folks, but it should go into the comprehensive discussion when you talk about it, because it's already being put out there as a done deal, basically, and that's not what public hearings are about. So thank you.
Yeah, I never saw that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead. Come on up to the podium.
Bus to catch here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me scurry or shuffle on over there.
You can come this way.
Not too many obstacles. A long time to get around here, though. I'm going back that way. Yes, my name is Peggy Hernandez. Officially Margaret, but old school Peggy was a nickname for Margaret. I was here to request, I'm going to, would like to host a celebration of life. And it's open to the public, to anyone and everyone. For the past 6 years, I've been an invalid, going from my bed to the couch. That was all I can make it. We lost our home in 2010, but that's okay. Had stairs. I had to resign from my job at Christ Lutheran Church daycare because of my disability. And like I said, for 6 years, I went from the bed to the couch, and then something happened on August 24th that woke up the screaming Irish banshee in me, and I stood up, and I said, okay, Peggy, no more pity party. You're going to get up, and you're going to start moving. And I'm celebrating life, past, present, and future. And I'm 69 years old. I'm celebrating the fact that for 69 years, I woke up on this side of the ground. And it's like a hallelujah moment for me. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life dancing. And my mission is to make people smile and laugh. And I want everyone to engage at this event. It's a 3-day event. I'm having it starts December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now, the 1st and the 3rd, I have venues in Belfair. Friday the 1st is going to be, oh, this is so complicated, JR's. And we'll start probably about 8 o'clock. We're going to have music and food and laughter and dance. December 31st is going to be HD's, same scheme, just everybody come and dance with me. And on the 2nd, I'm going to have events in the Lower Lynch, Gladwin Beach Park, where there's swings and things for children. I have many crafts and things to do for the children and all of us. So I had called people, and I don't know who I spoke to. I spoke to a female, and her name is written right on my table at home. And I spoke to, oh, hi! And I spoke to a gentleman, hey! And I was told that if I have an open event to everyone, which it is, that's the whole theme, I would possibly waive the fee, because I was told a fee was $500. That ain't happening. I had my daughter and son-in-law got married at the gazebo here on July 4th, many moons ago. Not many, she's a child, only 38. Anyway, so I came to request that be waived, and possibly if, because it would be live music, if the electrical would be accessible. So in essence, I'm here to invite everyone to celebrate life, past, present, and future, your own, those who have passed, and don't wait till you die for people to come out and celebrate your life. Bring them all together to engage people, to get them to laugh and have a good time and be joyful. That, like I said, we wake up on this side of the ground. And the ones that have passed, we dance for them as well. So that's my request, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Peggy.
And by the grace of God, for the homeless people, by the grace of God go I. And that's the truth when we lost our home in 2010. So my heart goes out to those that do not have shelter in this cold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Carey. Speaking from the TIP CAP, Transportation Improvement Projects, for Mason County. They're summarizing, or finalizing, I should say, a list this week, this Wednesday. And I also know that supposedly they had some meetings in Belfair with the Belfair circulation and connection to the Belfair bypass and all that. So I hadn't heard any comments come through from the port in our meetings, so and there may not be any, you may not have any, but I just want to remind you that those things are happening in the background. And so from economic development standpoint, at least letting you know that they'll be finalizing some things for the annual and 6-year transportation projects. It looks like, because of the county's budgets and things, they might be sliding some of those out a little bit, like the sidewalk project from the intersection there at Highway 3 and Old Belfair Highway. They might be sliding that out a couple of years.
Which way?
You mean which way?
Are they going to do it sooner than they expected? Or
No,
later
no,
than
no,
they
no.
expected?
No, everything's later.
Okay.
When have we ever heard the county do something quicker?
Thought I'd clarify.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I thought that was a given, almost kind of like, almost like a, the 12th law or 12th commandment. Government jobs will happen later. Anyway, so if there are things that the port, is thinking, especially like when you're looking at your, your comp plan update, for projects and what have you, just, let us know. I mean, and the contact there would be, in the county would be Loretta Swanson also for that. So, if you had something great, no big issue. The big issue is trying to figure out how to make it stretch further, the budgets and what have you, and we'll be hammering that out Wednesday. But the county will be adopting their 1 year and 6 year, I think either the last week of November or the first week of, just before they adopt their budget for the county itself. So I know there's not a lot of time between now and the other projects, but there's also next year. So I mean, so looking at projects, if they are great, bring them to us, and appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
I have to go catch a bus.
Okay.
So should I just wait to hear somebody?
Yeah, the office will call you.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right, then. And you all come.
Thank you.
Okay.
It will be.
Any other public comment? Continuance or adjournment?
I think adjournment,
Is that a motion?
sure.
Oh. Bill has moved that the meeting be adjourned.
Okay, I'll second that.
Judy has
I'm
seconded.
sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.